My husband and I are the parents of twins who are less than a year old. Anytime my husband should be doing something with the children, it's his turn for a diaper, a bottle, even just soothing a fussy newborn, he always goes to the bathroom first. We are both on maternity-paternity leave currently. My husband is on medication that makes him spend a lot of time in the bathroom about an hour after a meal. It's a medication he has been on and off several times over the past year. He is never on it for more than a few weeks, and it does not affect him all the time, but he always claims that is why he is in the bathroom. I did ask, the doctor didn't say it was impossible, but highly unlikely. Doc wanted him to come in for a checkup if this was the case, and husband said oh it's not that bad and refuses to go in. I would rather let him use the restroom first than have to put down a baby mid-task, but over the past couple months he has been spending more and more time in there. He always takes his phone. He is always watching YouTube. His average session is 25 minutes in there, often longer, rarely shorter. It's the most frustrating when it comes time to feed them. One of the twins needs to be held specifically for health reasons, so I cannot double feed, because we will get up, I will warm up bottles, change one baby bum, get the first one fed, burped, and laid down in their crib, get the other baby changed, and be settling down to feed baby number 2, before he can be bothered to emerge and figure out why one child has been screaming because they had to watch their sibling eat L. And then the other one cry when they don't get to cuddle at all, because I have to immediately set them down to feed the hysterically sobbing child. Yesterday was a week and a half since I started truly keeping track, and he, only twice in 10 days, not ditched me to go camp out in the bathroom and let me finish 80% of the childcare. Today I started a new rule. If he is in the bathroom for more than 10 minutes, I flip the Wi-Fi off. He has not spent more than 15 minutes in the bathroom at a stretch today, but is extremely upset. I feel like the fact that without the Wi-Fi his uncontrollable toilet issue cleared up rather quickly proves why it needs to be done, but he feels I am being unreasonable and I need to make sure sleep deprivation isn't making me an idiot. Not the idiot, as a mother of twins it is hard work and he isn't pulling his weight, and you've just proved it. Mine are now toddlers, and I fully admit I go for longer wheeze as it's my quiet place, but I don't when something needs doing. I've also fed a baby while on the toilet because I literally couldn't hold any longer. Call his bluff and tell him if he's going to be there a while, he might as well take the baby to feed and cuddle as well. I would have a talk about how you feel when he leaves you to do it all. Not the idiot. Turning off the Wi-Fi is very clever. He should concentrate on what he's doing when he's in the restroom. It is quite unsanitary to be sitting on the throne doing your business and playing with your cell phone or whatever at the same time. I would insist that he see his doctor, as spending 15 or 25 minutes in the toilet at a stretch is not anywhere near normal. His issues may be physical, they may be psychological, it may be that he's just an idiot, but something strange is going on here that requires a professional to help sort. Not the idiot. However, I see this as the usual dynamic of most households. This is a large reason I will never have kids. Men take their kid to the park one time and they are father of the year. They change one diaper and wow, you're amazing. Meanwhile, mom works and takes care of the kids 90% of the time. I would end up going insane. I'm sorry he's doing this. Speak up and make it clear he needs to be an active participant. You're basically a single mother of twins who is monitoring an adult at the same time. So 13, I have a very bad fear of bugs. When I was little, before I was adopted, I was in a foster home that was infested with roaches, and now I just can't stand any bug. I can look at them, but I can't have them on me, or I will have a panic attack. I know it sounds stupid, but I just can't explain the way it makes me feel. So I went over to one of my friends, 14, Cassidy, for her birthday, and we had a sleepover. It was us and another girl, 15, Mia. Now we were sitting playing 2 truths and 1 lie. If you don't know what that, it is where you say 2 truths about yourself and 1 lie, and the other people have to guess which is the lie. So one of my truths was I am deathly afraid of bugs, and I can't be near them. So we got done playing at, like, 2 AM, and we decided to go to bed. Well, what I didn't know is that Mia and Cassidy were gonna pull a prank on me. Cassidy had a pet praying mantis that I did not know about. So I was almost asleep when I felt it crawling on my leg. I had barely even opened my eyes, but I was already slapping at my leg and trying to scoot back. My friends had put Cassidy's praying mantis on my leg and it got crushed while I was trying to get away. I went into a panic attack and Cassidy's mom woke up and called my mom for me. I was still sobbing when my mom picked me up and we left. That was yesterday. Cassidy won't stop texting me about paying for a replacement mantis. I told her I'm sorry, but she knew I had a fear of bugs and I won't be paying crap for her mantis. She said I killed it and that it's my fault and I should pay the $100 price of the mantis. I told her no way, but Cassidy and Tia have been texting me and saying that I overreacted and I'm being an idiot. I just want to know if I'm being an idiot or not. I really don't want to have to ask my parents to fork up $100 to pay for this bug that I killed. And I also really don't think it's my fault. Not the idiot. It was beyond cruel of your friends to exploit your phobia like that. As someone who had some toxic friends growing up, let me give you some advice I needed to hear. When people who are actually your friends find out about a weakness, their immediate reaction shouldn't be to exploit it. If they do, they're not actually your friends. Even when playing pranks on you, there are lines that shouldn't be crossed. Pranks between friends should never escalate to cause a panic attack bad. Not the idiot. Not only was that incredibly cruel to you, but Cassidy has failed as a pet owner. She is the one responsible for keeping her pet safe. That was a cruel thing to do to any animal. She put it directly in harm's way and it died because of that, not because of you. And for the record, I adore animals, including bugs, and would still likely have swatted an unexpected bug on my leg. Unfortunately, teenagers aren't known for thinking their actions fully through and can be cruel. Sorry you're having to deal with that. Not the idiot, and a few points to make the case. I'm 32. If anything with 6+ legs touches me, I am 100% killing it without thinking. Any friend that put something with 6+ legs on me would not be my friend anymore. I'm not usually fond of that tropes, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You are not being silly. You are not being unreasonable. You are not an idiot. And anyone who would hear about your phobia and then deliberately prey on that is not your friend. Anyone who deliberately plays on your phobia and then expects you to literally pay for the consequences is your enemy. I, 19, gave birth to a baby girl 2 weeks ago. The pregnancy was unplanned and very, very stressful. I have had an eating disorder in the past, so getting so much bigger was a huge stress for me. I'm also only 4.11 and weighed around 95 pounds for half of my pregnancy, so it was also very hard on my body. Pregnancy was not really an enjoyable experience for me for a bunch of reasons, so I was determined to try and make the birth as smooth as possible. I started my birth plan at around 7 months and was adamant I wanted an epidural. I moved back in with my mom when I was 6 months gone because of the health issues around my pregnancy, as my boyfriend works 8 to 5 and I was on bed rest for a long time. My mom helped with my birth plan and continuously said that I shouldn't have an epidural, that I should experience birth. If I don't have a natural birth with anything but gas and air, that I'm not a real mother, that young girls always cop out, etc. She was also judging me for my parenting choices. I was sick of hearing it and told her that I would be doing what I wanted and that if she was so insistent I couldn't have an epidural, then she couldn't be in the room when I gave birth. This conversation happened almost every day until I went into labor at 35 weeks. I had to have an emergency C-section. It was traumatic and painful, and I don't remember much of my daughter's birth. I'm having a really hard time coming to terms with this, and I really do feel like the universe is telling me I shouldn't be a mother because of the pregnancy issues and the birth. I stuck to my word, and my mother wasn't allowed in the room with me until the day after the birth. She came in upset, and when she held my daughter, the first thing she said was she's gorgeous. I'm so glad you get to feel the birth now because you didn't get to do it naturally. She gestured to my C-section wound. I was furious, demanded my boyfriend take the baby from my mother, and asked her to leave. She cried and said she was joking. I said she needs to go, and I need time to consider whether I want her in my life at the moment, considering she obviously has no respect for me. This was 2 weeks ago. She hasn't tried to contact me, but my dad has, and he says I need to forgive mom despite her not apologizing. My boyfriend says he'll stand by me no matter what, but that I'm probably too emotional to be making long-term choices like this. I do want my mom to meet my baby, and I feel like I'm punishing her. Everyone thinks I'm an idiot. I don't know. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I had an emergency C-section at 35 weeks, and it was one of the most traumatic things of my life. It also knocks you as a mum, and I felt similar, as though it somehow made my birth story not a real birth, so God forbid someone had validated that thought process, or said it was a good thing I could feel the pain of my scar. Seeing as your mum is a bloody idiot, I'm going to reassure you that any way a mother gives birth is the right way, and the universe gave you that gorgeous child because you're meant to be their mama. Not the idiot. First and foremost, congrats on the baby girl. I had a similar birth experience to you, unplanned, body dysmorphia, complications, emergency section, and I am just coming to terms with all of it. It does get better, I promise. And being a mother just gets better and better. You 1000% have a say of who is around you and baby and who is not. Please just try to focus on feeling better, and I feel like your mother definitely contributed to the stress you are experiencing. Not the idiot. She wanted you to feel the birth. Why? So you wouldn't want to do it again. Because from the outside birth looks terrifying and painful, which is why your own brain doors you up on hormones right after, to forget how terrible it was and make you do it again. Your mom was not being supportive at a time you really needed it and seems to be pouting. I'm guessing this is a pattern, because your dad is trying to make you, the reasonable one, give in to her, the unreasonable one, in the name of keeping the peace. My twin and I are the oldest of 5 siblings, all in our 20s. Our parents have always called me the good son, and I've always looked out for my siblings. This includes my twin. My twin is the kind of person who can't hold a job, but it's never his fault. Despite constantly calling out and faking illness, he always takes but never gives back, you get the picture. But we always just brushed it off as he's family. I, however, stopped with the enabling behavior. Recently, I was discussing my parents' wills with them. My twin and I don't make that much, but we get by. Our other siblings make okay to decent money. My parents told me that they intended to leave the house and a good amount of money to my twin. The rest of us would get equal amounts of everything else. I asked them why they would give so much to the kid who has done nothing but leech off them and never helped when they needed it, despite talking about how he would any other day, but conveniently not the day they asked him. They shrugged it off with, "He's our kid, and we know you can't carry him forever with how he's acting, so we might as well give him a safety net." I tried to protest, saying that their final gesture was basically further enabling him. I myself have stopped defending this guy. He is barely hanging by a thread, and he needs to learn how to make it on his own. I think this information would just make him smug and complacent. But my parents won't see it my way. I blew up at them, saying that they better hope this decision doesn't haunt them in death. Especially because my sister just finished her chemo and is still paying off her medical debt. The amount she and the rest of us are being left would cover some of it, but still leave a bit for her to pay off herself. If anyone deserved to have a house and that much money, it's her. My parents later told my other brother their side of what happened, and he thinks that although twin screws, it's ultimately mom and dad's money and house, so it's their choice. I think my frustration at the situation is justified, but I probably should have calmly explained it to my parents. Am I the idiot for that outburst? Technically you are the idiot, as it's your parents' money and their choice. Morally, you're right. Why on earth are they enabling a son who is physically healthy, but not addressing his mental health issues or attitude problems, and not helping their cancer-stricken daughter who has massive debts? Morally, not the idiot. I know it's their money, but your parents' actions strike me as reprehensible in regards to your sister, not you. If you were all healthy, I would say your parents were unfair and unjust for not splitting the inheritance equally. No idiots here, you have every reason to be frustrated with your brother, and from the sound of it, he will probably blow his inheritance in short order. When that happens, I hope you and your siblings will give him the lesson in taking responsibility that he deserves or needs, and let him sink or swim. That said, your other brother is correct, it is your parents' money to do with as they please. However, at least you know what to expect before that day comes, and you won't be blindsided when the will is executed. Not the idiot, it's up to them, but their reasoning screws. A friend's parents did something similar, they're leaving everything to the lazy brother who can't hold down a job because he won't cope otherwise. Trouble is, he won't cope anyway and will eventually lose everything, and the 2 other brothers have declared that since he's being left everything, they'll never help him and will, direct quote, see the little idiot homeless first. These things can cause a teeny bit of resentment. Last night was my first night babysitting for an 11-year-old boy. He seems like a very sweet and friendly child, and while I was watching him, he talked to me about basically everything under the sun. When I first arrived, he told me that his parents were getting a divorce. Then he wanted to show me around the house. His mom had already left at this point. While we were upstairs in the game room, we heard footsteps coming up the stairs. I initially thought it was just a dog, but quickly realized that the steps were far too heavy to be coming from him. When we exited the game room, the kid's dad was at the top of the stairs. At first this didn't alarm me too much, as it seemed like he was only there to get some things he'd left behind. I got the impression they are very early on in the divorce. However, before he left he sternly told the kid, "Don't tell your mother I was here." After that, he called the kid's cell phone several times throughout the night and at one point told him to please don't mess this up for me. I also heard him saying, "I don't think you understand how much your life is gonna change if mom and I get divorced." The first time he called, the kid kept saying, "No, I'm not mad at you, Dad, it's just none of my business." The kid says his dad is always trying to get me to do stuff for him, but I keep telling him that's their parents' business. Those were his exact words. From what I understand, it sounds like the dad is basically trying to put the kid in the middle of everything going on between him and the mom. I truly believe I should tell the mom her husband was at the house. The only reason I am hesitating is because of the child. I'm worried that if I tell her and she confronts the dad, he'll get angry and end up blaming the kid for something he had no control over. So, would I be the idiot for telling her what happened, potentially getting the kid in trouble with his dad? Not the idiot. Their situation doesn't matter, this is a safety and security issue. When you are in someone else's house babysitting their kid, you should absolutely know who will and will not be there. If the mother hired you, then she has every right to know that you are not alone with her kid. I would also tell her what you overheard. If it weren't the kid's father but instead some friends or some other adults, would you be concerned that he was being asked not to tell his mother or that he was being asked to do things that he didn't want to do? Not the idiot. I think just leave out the kid entirely. If it were me I'd say something like, "I assumed no one would be back for hours, so I was quite frightened when I heard footsteps on the stairs that turned out to be your husband," or something like that. Then you can describe what the dad said and did. She has no reason to think you would lie, and I don't think she would take it out on the kid. This is also about asserting your rights as a babysitter. You can say you can't be put into this position as the babysitter and that it makes you very uncomfortable. Not the idiot. As I can see, you updated and told the mother. Always tell the person you are babysitting for if someone unexpected turns up. Unexpected means the parent didn't tell you. Especially if they let themselves in. You didn't know who he was, he could have been dangerous to you or the child. Also, never let anyone in without express permission from the parent first. A few mothers-in-laws have kidnapped grandchildren this way. I'm glad you're safe and well after this really quite creepy encounter.